Hello, District 14 Toastmasters. Welcome to the speech contest training, Tall Tales Answers for Tall Tales Questions, Session 1. I am Joanne Sheets, and I serve as the District 14 contest chair along with the contest team. Next slide. Debbie Thompson, Teresa Middleton, J.D. Dirkschneider, Barbara Laracy, Linda Rogers, Trina Mackey, and Denise James. We're delighted that you are here tonight, and it is our goal to share information that will help you as you prepare for your October area contest. We're recording this training, so I will read the District 14 photo and video release statement. By attending this meeting, training, event, I consent and authorize District 14 to copyright, use, and publish any of the images in any format, photographs, videos, etc., taken of me. I understand these images may be used for a variety of purposes and may appear on the District 14 website, social media, promotional materials, or any other media. I also want to share a few Zoom navigation tips. Mute yourself unless you're speaking. Leave your video on if possible, and you will have access to the side-by-side view during the PowerPoint, and you can chat everyone or privately. There are a few reminders for upcoming events. Be reminded that our area contest must be completed by October 31st. It is in-person only. Division by November 30th, it is in-person only. And then the district in-person only, and it will be held in April of 2025. We're excited about the upcoming international contest. The contest must be completed at the club level by January 31st. It is online or in person. So it's the club's choice. The area contest must be completed by February 28th. It is in person only. The division contest by March 31st. It is in person only. And the district contest April 2025, and it is in person only. Divisions may combine their Tall Tales contest with their international contest in March if they desire. Also, we are having upcoming training for the international in November, and we will further this training on October 15th, possibly, for Tall Tales. That being said, our agenda tonight is eligibility requirements and forms, contest officials and contestant briefings, all things judges briefings, timing, and how to break a tie, disqualifications and protest process, and myth busters. Are we ready to get started? Please help me welcome Toastmaster Barbara Laracy, who will share with us eligibility requirements and forms. It's on you, Barbara.
Thank you, Joanne. Everyone, welcome. Next slide, please. Contestant eligibility for Tall Tales is relatively easy. You must be a paid member in a club in good standing and club must be in good standing with Toastmasters International. Basically, that means you paid your dues and your club had at least 8 people who were shown as paid members. So be sure that your contestants are paid members and your club has the required minimum so that they may be a contestant. Now, judges' eligibility in the club contest, all they have to do is be a paid member. However, at the area, division, and district level, they have to have been a paid member for at least 6 months and have completed a minimum of 6 speech projects in the old Competent Communication Manual, which is way back, or earn certificates of completion in levels 1 and 2 of any path in pathways. and they must be physically present at the contest for which you are serving. No virtual judges, no virtual contestants. To be a chief judge, voting judge, or tie-breaking judge, you've got to meet all of these eligibility requirements. At the division, district, quarterfinal, semifinal, and final level contest, your judges cannot be a member of the same club as any of the contestants. Yeah, the forms are important for you to fill out. They're not hard. They're pretty much speak for themselves. For the speaker, since Tall Tales requires you to be original, you need to fill out, your contestants need to fill out the speaker's certification of eligibility and originality. In all these shaded areas here, you will fill those out and turn those in to your chief judge, your contest master. Your club number, your member number, your district number, which is 14. I hope everyone knows. You need to make sure you sign and date stating that you are eligible to compete. Then you must check the type of contest, the level contest, the date of the contest, put your speech title, and sign and date again. This says that you are stating that your speech is substantially your own creation, your own original idea and statement. You must be sure that no more than 25% of your speech is from quoted material. So be sure, fill this out, sign it, and turn it in prior to the contest. You will also have your contestants complete a speech contest profile. This is what your contest master will pull from when they're doing their interviews of the contestants while the judges are counting. Judges are finishing their ballots, and then the ballot counters and chief judge go out to count the ballots. You need to just fill out all of the shaded parts, give us some interesting things that you would like to talk about, hobbies, your favorite motto, what inspires you, anything that you think people would be interested to hear about you in a speech in the interviews. Be sure and date it, and give us your address and your contact information. Sign it, put your contest information and your email so that we can keep track of you. For the judges, they also have to sign a certificate of eligibility and a code of ethics. Basically, they will fill out all the usual things: the level of contest, what type of contest, the day of contest. And in the eligibility, it tells what they need to be an eligible judge. When they need to read over that, make sure that they are a paid member in a club in good standing, and that they have, for the area contests and above, that they have met the speech requirements in pathways. And then they can read the code of ethics, which basically says that they will uphold the Toastmasters core values when they're evaluating these speeches. They will demonstrate an even-handed approach. They will not consider any contestants club, area, division, are they in a club you don't like, or they're friends with somebody you don't like. You don't consider any of that. All you are doing as a judge is considering the speech, and that by signing this ethics form, you are swearing that you will judge fairly, impartially to each of the contestants. You will sign and date, put your name, sign and date that, turn it in. We do want to make sure that everybody reads those carefully, because we want a fair and even competition. The judges for Tall Tales, the judging is a bit different than all of our other speeches. Your delivery counts for 55% of your speech. So that means your content counts 30%, but how you deliver that content with your physical appearance, your speech selections, the speech techniques you use, your voice, vocal variety, all of those things. Because you can use all kind of speech tech devices. You can use hyperbole, exaggeration, alliteration, any of those that you want. You can use any physical props or physical, clothes or whatever you need. You can do an accent or a voice, whatever you need to do to enhance your speech. Language is 15%. And again, we give the judges that code of ethics to remind them. If your judges need to be sure that they break their own ties, only the bottom part of the ballot is turned in. They may need to be, in order for it to be a valid ballot, they must list their first, second, and third place choices. They must sign their name and print their name in order for the ballot to be valid. For a tie-breaking judge, everything is the same in terms of what they judge and what they look at and what their ethics are, but they have to list, if you've got at your area or division contest, if you've got 8 contestants, 10 contestants, your tie-breaking judge has to list their ranking of all of the contestants, whether it is 1 contestant or 12 contestants. And they also need to print their name and sign their name. The tie-breaking judge's ballot is only used if there is a tie from the voting judges. Otherwise, it is never used. Okay. Counters, when they go and count the ballots, they will list the contestants and list the judges and list the scores from each judge, add it up, and then we will determine the winner. If there is a tie, we will then open the tie-breaking judge's ballot and look at it and add that in to the people who are tied. We will not open the tie-breaking judge's ballot unless there is a tie amongst the counting sheet. For each time that a judge rated a person in first place, they get 3 points. They get 2 points if they rank the contestant in second, and 1 point if they rank the person third. Your timers will complete a timing sheet listing each contestant and the amount of time that they had in their presentation. That's the only way we know whether or not there is a timing disqualification. Judges are not to take into account timing. If there are no timing disqualifications, that's great. Once the ballots have been counted and the winners have been determined, the results form is completed by the chief judge and given to the contest master for them to be able to announce the winners, third place, second place, and first place. Once the winners are announced, the decisions are final. So be sure to list them in the correct order. You always go from third to first. Once the contest is over and the winners have been determined, the chief judge will fill out, or the contest master will fill out this form, a notification of the contest winner, and this will be sent to the next level. So for club contests, these were being sent to the next level of the contest master or the chief judge for the next level contest. Once the area contest is done, it's the same thing. You send it up to whoever is in charge of the division contest. Be sure and list the club numbers for the winners, email address, and the phone, and you need to list all of your contestants and how that you had. Then you fill out the bottom, who it was submitted by, what their title is, and their contact information. So if there are any questions. But this goes to the next level, up from club to area to division, and then all the way up to district. You always fill that out and send it to the next ones. And now I will turn it over to Toastmaster Denise James, who will tell us all about contestant officials and contestant briefing.
Thank you, DTM Barbara Laracy. I am going to talk about first the officiaries or functionary officials, functionaries. Did I just make up a word? The chart on this slide shows you what officials you need to hold a club, area, division, and district contest. Every contest level has a chairman or chairperson, contest chair. That contest chair can also be the contest master. They can be one and the same or two separate roles. Each contest level has a chief judge, and Barbara already talked some about that chief judge. Voting judges. At the club level, they prefer you have 5 if that is practical. This week, Riverwalk Toastmasters held theirs, and they were only able to find 2, but 2 was enough. At the area level, they want a minimum of 5 made up of an equal number of judges from those clubs in your area. I have 3 clubs in my area. Equal number of judges should hopefully be minimum of 6, but they require a minimum of 5. And sometimes that is hard to do, but not impossible. At the division area, that number of judges goes up to 7. Those judges need to be on the division level, equal number of judges from the areas in your division. Division E has 4 areas, therefore they would like at least an equal number from those. If they had 2 from each area, we'd have 8 judges. That'd be wonderful. At the district level, they want at least the minimum of 7 voting judges, and these judges need to be an equal number from the divisions in the district. District 14 has 8, and I don't think you need me to do the math again for that. At the club and area levels, you need 2 ballot counters and 2 timers. You need, at the division level, you also need 2 timers and 2 ballot counters. When you get to the district level, let me make sure I'm not stumbling over, division 2 and 2, just like area and club. District, you need 3 timers, no, 2 timers and 3 ballot counters. I'm sorry, I'm doing this from memory. Once we have the officials, we move into the contestant briefings. The contestant briefings, I lost my little spot here, but I got it. The contestant briefing, at each contest level, the contestants have to fill out that originality and eligibility form, as well as their briefing, their bio, speaker profile. On your eligibility and originality form, you'll notice it has the different levels. You fill out one for each level as you progress. And I know that the contestant is totally elated when they get to check off district for competition at that level. A critical factor also is having your dues paid. Dues are due by the end of this month. If a contestant is going to compete in the area contest, those dues need to be paid in the club that has 8 paid members. You must maintain eligibility of having your dues paid all the way up the levels. If you end up being able to compete in the district level or even in that division in March, your dues need to be paid current. If you're going to the district in April, they must be maintained. Contestants, as I mentioned, will complete their contestant profile form, as this will be used for interviews by the contest master while the ballot counters are doing their thing in the room to come up with third, second, and first place. And I've covered the profile. And also at the briefing, the contest chair will verify the pronunciation of the contestants' names as well as the correct speech title. And this briefing that can be held ahead of the contest and on Zoom, that'll take a little stress off the in-person, what's going to happen the day of the contest. The speaking order will be determined, and it is up to your contest chair as to how they want to determine that. It's easier to put all the names on the wheel, spin the wheel, first name that comes up, first speaker. Second name, second speaker, and in that order until everyone has a place in the speaking order. And then I'm going to mention again, but the introduction will be done by the contest chair as contestant's name, speech title, contestant's name. For example, when you come up on stage or in the speaking area, that contest master might say, Katie Cat, my Jupiter cattails, my Jupiter cattails, Katie Cat. The chief judge and contest master's information will be given to all contestants should there be a need for a contestant to file a protest. And protests are going to be covered a little bit later on. Timing. The speech for Tall Tale is 3 to 5 minutes. You must speak for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but not go over 5 minutes and 30 seconds. The timing devices will be demonstrated, and at each contest, and especially I've seen it happen nicely at the district, they will demonstrate before the contest and at the rehearsal the timing devices and let the contestants know where the timers will be sitting. And they will also demonstrate the timing device. They will, and in timing a Tall Tales contest, they will time it by green, yellow, red, as in any other Toastmasters time speech. At 3 minutes, a green light will be shown. At 4 minutes, the yellow light will be shown. And at 5 minutes, the red light will be shown, and it will remain lit until the contestant has concluded. I'm covering these quicker than I thought I was. disqualifications, conditions, and I hesitate because I have in my ear my speech telling me what these slides are, so they don't have to be read to me. Okay, disqualifications based on eligibility. As Barbara mentioned, you must have at least 75% of your speech be your original content, your own creation. And originality, eligibility has more to do with, I'm sorry, I do this every time. Eligibility has more to do with the fact that your dues are paid, you're current, and you're in a club in good standing. Your originality is what I just covered with your 75% original speech material. Reference. If you make reference to a quote, you're going to quote someone, you must give credit to that quote. Also, if you make a reference to a contestant in the same speech contest as you will be disqualified. Example, Barbara comes up and she speaks first. I really like what she said in part of her speech, such as, perfect imperfection is how we grow. And I take that into my speech. I can be disqualified because I used her material in the same context. If you arrive late being after the contest master has opened the contest, once that contest master hits the stage and says, hello, District 14, if you stroll in there a minute after that first syllable, you may not compete. Oh, I lost my spot. Yep, time, late arrival. And I believe that is all of mine, Linda.
You are good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will now turn this over to DTM, Debbie Thompson.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to talk about all things judges, the briefings, the timing, and how to break a tie. So let's get into it, Linda. So I wanted to talk briefly about the difference between a speech evaluation and a speech contest judge. The judges are not there to evaluate a speech. If we are in a club meeting, our evaluations are purposeful. We are supposed to be helping the speaker. Next, we know their objectives, and those are very important because we want to make sure the speaker meets their objectives and that we consider that, and that we give them an oral and a written evaluation. So that's the role of the evaluator. However, at a contest, we are not there to evaluate the speakers. We are there to pick a winner. And so we want to make sure that we listen for the criteria on the judges form. We don't evaluate. Next, we don't know the objectives of the speech. We don't need to know the objectives of the speech. We don't want to know. We are judging basically on the criteria itself. Next one. And we are there to compare their speech against the criteria, the judging form. I've had people ask me, well, a contestant came up to me after and asked me as a judge if I could give them some feedback and tell them what they could do better. Absolutely not. You cannot. You have to tell them this is confidential. You are a judge and you cannot give them any feedback. If they want feedback, then they need to get a friend or another member in the audience who is not an official to give them feedback. Next. So let's talk a little bit about the rule book. I did want to show for tall tales, this is directly out of the rule book, and it states that the subject for tall tales must be highly exaggerated, very improbable, and have a theme or plot. So that is the definition in the rule book about tall tales.
It also talks about the fact that humor and props may be used to support the speech and illustrate the speech. But remember, a tall tales does not have to be a humorous speech. And don't get those two confused. They're totally different criteria, but humor can be one of the things that can make a tall tales very effective if used in the tall tales speech, but it does not have to be humorous. Next slide. I did want to cover one more thing because Barbara talked about the eligibility, the number of officials and judges. We've talked about originality. We are about to talk about protests and disqualifications in just a minute, but there's another rule at the area and division that I wanted to talk about. At the division and district contests, no judge, chief, voting, or tie-breaking judge must be a member of a club in which a contestant is a member. That's a very strong rule. However, and it's not mentioned at the area contest, however, it is strongly recommended that you don't let an area judge be a member of the same club if possible, because I can tell you from personal experience, I was a judge in an area contest where I had a member of my club. And I actually think I lost the contest for him because I was trying so hard not to give him do him any favors, that I think I really didn't rank him high enough because I was bending over backwards not to be the other way. And so I think it's so hard when you're a member of a club, you've seen them speak before, you've seen them get evaluations, their speaking skills and style. And I just think if you can help it, you need to not let any of your judges be a member of the club. Next slide. All right, this is the guide and ballot. Barbara talked about this a little bit, but we're going to do a little bit deeper dive here. Next. So the speech development is 30% of the entire points for a tall tale speech. Next. As Barbara mentioned, 55% of the contest rule points are in delivery. Next. And then 15% are in appropriateness. So I wanted you to see this because delivery is the largest number of points that you can get for a tall tale speech. Okay, let's look a little bit closer. Next. All right, next. Tall tales, I wanted you to see this in relation to some of the other contests that you're probably more familiar with, because you can see tall tales is only 30% of the points from this. The other speeches are 50% or more. It only has one category, and that's speech development. So what they're saying here is the opening needs to grab attention right away. The body and the closing needs to leave people mystified. You need to make sure you have structure, but you'll notice it doesn't call for effectiveness or speech value or audience response. In this one, it's only the speech development, the structure, the organization. Next. Next. All right, for tall tales, as far as delivery, remember this is 55%, and you can see how this stacks up to the other speech contest. There are three categories here. We've talked about a little bit about physical and voice. That is, physical is your body language, how you're delivering there. Voice is using vocal variety, but there's a speech technique that is only found in tall tales. And so I wanted to spend just a second on that. Next slide. This is speech techniques, and it says you're using skills such as exaggeration, irony, puns, humor, and a surprise twist. So all of these things they're calling the essence of the tall tale and must be skillfully incorporated. So that is the difference between tall tales and the rest of the speech contest. So this is very, very important. Next. The last category is appropriateness. You can see that it is in line with the rest of the speech contest. It's 15% of your points. Now you can notice that correctness is not listed in tall tales. However, they've been very sneaky. They pull correctness into appropriateness. It's all in there. It still says you have to use effective grammar. So they just put it all together. Next slide. Here are the ballots. I think we already mentioned that the judge, the regular judge, fills in the first, second, and third place. They have to sign it and they have to print their names. The tie-breaking judge, as Barbara had already mentioned, their ballot is only used if there is a tie, but they have to they have to rank everyone in the contest. If you had 10 contestants, they have to sit there and rank all 10. It's very, very important. Have them also sign and print their name on their ballots. Next. Let's talk about a valid ballot for a second. Here's the ballot. Next. You have to have the correct number of contestants. For the regular judges, that's 3 places. And for the tie-breaking judge, that's as many contestants as you have, all of the places. Next. You do have to sign your name. And next, you do have to print your name. So a lot of people, when I've seen a contest, when they hand the judges their forms, they say, sign this and print your name right away. Don't even sit down until you've done that. So that's just to make sure that we get them to have valid ballots and they don't forget. Next. All right, so let's look at a valid ballot here. We've got all of our top 3 ranked. Queen Latifah is our judge, and she has signed it and she has printed her name. Very good. So this is a valid ballot. Next. All right. This is not a valid ballot. As you can tell, there is, on the first line, we've got 2 people. How do I know who they ranked first? We've got scratches all over this form and they didn't sign it. Next. So again, they had 2 lines on a name. Next. They did not sign it. Next. And what the heck is all that? Now you may say to yourself, well, the chief judge should go back out there and get them to correct this. No, no, no. Chief judge cannot come back out and get you to correct a ballot. This will be thrown out. It won't even be used. So make sure as a judge, you fill it out properly so that your vote does count. Next. All right, the chief judge is counseling and appointing the officials. He appoints the voting judges. Those are the judges that vote, and those are the judges that are included in any kind of protest process. The ballot counters, we've already looked at that. They count the ballots. They go with the chief judge into the ballot room and count the ballots. The timers, we've noticed, are just like our timers at our club meetings. They keep the time, and there are 2 of them. So the chief judge would be briefing all of these people. And then finally, there is a secret tie-breaking judge. He is not briefed with the rest of the people, but the tie-breaking judge definitely has to be briefed on a lot of the things that the rest of the judges need to know as well. So that would have to be done with the chief judge at some point. Next. I did want to talk about briefings for just a second. The chief judge is responsible for briefing all of his team. The reason I have the Zoom on this slide, the picture of the Zoom in the corner, is because Toastmasters rulebook actually says that the judge's briefing may be conducted in person or online at the discretion of the chief judge. And it says online briefings are allowed in order to facilitate more opportunities for a thorough briefing. And I would recommend, the team recommends this, do your briefings ahead of time so you can spend time and answer questions and practice things together. If you try to do a briefing right before an in-person contest, it is stressful. If people aren't there on time, you're missing 2 or 3 people, so you've got to sporadically brief people. I would recommend that you do online briefings. It's can be a lot smoother and you can get a lot done in that time and not have to worry about pressure. Next. We talked about timing already, but that's something that the chief judge does let the timers know. It's 3 to 5 minutes. Keep going. I wanted to talk a little bit about breaking a tie because people do seem to get confused a little bit sometimes about this, and let's just go through it real quick. Next slide. All right. Here is a sample of 2 of our judges and their counters tally sheet. So this is what the counters would fill out when they see the judge, when they open the judges' ballots. We can see on the left, we have Judge Judy's ballot. We have Judge Mathis' ballot on the right-hand side, and then we have the tally counter. And our contestants are Kermit, Piggy, and Cookie. So we have written their names across the top on the ballot sheet and the judges down the side on the left. Next. All right. Judge Judy has ranked Kermit number 1, so she gave him 3 points, 3 points for first place. Piggy is second, so she gets 2 points. And then Cookie is third, so he gets 1 point. Let's look at Judge Mathis. Judge Mathis has ranked Piggy first, so Piggy gets 3 points. Kermit gets 2, and Cookie gets 1. All right, let's tally this. And we see that, oh my goodness, we have a tie in first place. Piggy and Kermit got 5 points each. So what do? We open the tiebreaker's ballot and see who the tiebreaker ranked first. Next slide. All right, let's take a look. This is what we have. Piggy and Kermit tied for first. Cookie is in second right now, but we know this is not the order that it's going to be in. And so I want you to think about, a lot of people say, well, is it fair to let the tiebreaker break the tie? Well, absolutely. Think about it this way. Half the people, and let's just say this, it might not be true, but half the people have voted for Kermit. Half the people have voted for Piggy. The tiebreaker is the one person we're going to, and we're going to say, okay, we're at a stalemate here. We need you to tell us which of these people broke the tie. And the tiebreaker judge does that by showing us who he ranked highest on his ballot. Next. So let's take a look at his ballot. We open it up and we see that Judge Ruth is our tiebreaker judge. She has actually put Kermit in first place and Piggy in third place. So all we need to know, we don't need to even know what place they are. We just need to know that the tiebreaker has ranked Kermit over Piggy. So he is telling us when you have a tie like that, Kermit is higher in my book and he breaks the tie. Next. So let's just watch this. Next. Kermit goes to first place. Next. Piggy then will go to second place. And then next, Cookie will go to third place. And this is our ranking according to the tiebreaker judge. Now, if a tie happens in second place or third place, you do exactly the same thing. Move people over into the place that they fit. And then where you have a tie, you would have to determine by the tiebreaker judge who broke the tie. Next. All right, so here are our results. Very good. All right, I did want to point out some of the videos that we've done in the past that can help with the judges' information. There's one called, it's on the YouTube channel for District 14 training, and it's under the playlist speech contest training. There's how to be a law-abiding judge, and it does include tall tales. There's how to be an honorable chief judge, which goes into a lot more detail. And then there's breaking ballot room ties. If you still don't quite understand, this is about a 6-minute video that gives you a lot of detail about how to break a tie. And so I would recommend that you watch that. Next. All right, that concludes the judges portion. I'd like to introduce Linda Rogers, who is going to do the disqualifications and protest process for us.
Thank you, Debbie. There are 5 types of reasons that a speaker could be disqualified as a contestant. The first 2, as mentioned earlier by Denise, are late arrival and under or over time. If you are not at the contest as a contestant before the contest master opens the contest, you are considered a late arrival and you will be automatically disqualified and not able to compete. If you do compete, but you speak not long enough or you speak overtime, then you will automatically be disqualified by the chief judge and ballot counters in the counting room because you stepped outside of the timing requirements. The other three disqualifications are eligibility, originality, and reference to another contestant by name or to their speech. And these are all three of these. These can only be addressed if a protest is lodged. Protests can only be lodged by voting judges, not the chief judge, not the tie-breaking judge, but by the voting judges and or contestants. An audience member cannot lodge a protest, and any protest must be lodged prior to the contest being adjourned. Once the contest is totally finished, you cannot protest. Now, if you are going to do an eligibility protest, someone's not a paid member in a club in good standing, that sort of thing, then you lodge your protest with the contest chair, who will then investigate and determine the legitimacy of that protest. And if eligibility requirements have not been met, then the candidate will be disqualified. Originality and reference protest are lodged with the chief judge and then addressed with the voting judges and the respective contestants. So let's look a little bit more. These are the 5 disqualifications where a contestant can actually be disqualified from competing. Now let's look at the protest process itself. First, you have to have someone lodge a protest. Let's say someone's going to lodge a protest about originality. You as the audience member may think that their speech isn't at least 75% original, but you cannot protest. Only another contestant or a voting judge can lodge a protest. So let's say that someone lodges a protest. And if it's an eligibility protest, as I mentioned earlier, then the contest chair is going to investigate that and then communicate with the chief judge if the person is disqualified. If the contestant is disqualified, the ballot counters in the counting room will scratch off that contestant's name from their counter's tally sheet, and that person will not be considered anymore. Now, if it's an originality or reference protest, then the chief judge needs to gather the voting judges in a room in order to address the protest. The person who lodged the protest will explain the reason for that protest. The contestant against whom the protest was lodged will have an opportunity to respond to the protest. After the contestant leaves the room, then the judges, the voting judges, under the direction of the chief judge, will discuss the situation and then take a vote. It requires a majority of the voting judges to disqualify a contestant. The chief judge has no vote. It's only the voting judges, and it requires a majority vote to disqualify a contestant. And if the contestant is disqualified, then the ballot counters will scratch off that contestant's name from the counter's tally sheet. One thing to remember in the entire process, and this is just kind of a surface level overview of how the protest process works, because there's a lot of things you need to talk about. You need to remember to treat this contest and the contestants with love. You don't want to open the door to the ballroom as the chief judge and yell out, "Hey, we have a protest. I need to see contestant A and contestant B and all the voting judges in the counting room ASAP." You need to be discreet. You need to have a plan in place for how you're going to notify the affected people that a protest has been lodged and get the voting judges out of the room, get the affected contestants out of the room, etc. So you need to have a plan in place for how you're going to do that. One way you can think about it is to make sure that your contestants have the phone numbers for both the chief judge and the contest chair, and that your contest chair and your chief judges are talking to one another during the contest by text if necessary, and that Another way for the voting judges is to have them actually write on their ballots that they're getting ready to turn in to say, here's my first, second, and third place contestant. They can write on their ballots, protest. And then you know in advance going in, or once you get to the counting room, that you have a protest and it's done by one of the voting judges. So my point on all of this is that you need to go through the communication details to make sure that if you have a protest, you can handle it in a professional manner for all concerned. And it is now time for Toastmaster Trina Mackey to talk about Mythbusters. Trina.
Thank you, Linda. Mythbusters. Let's take a look. Myth number 1, no contest is necessary if there's only one contestant. According to the general procedure from the rule book, occasionally a contest will be held with only one contestant. In such cases, a contest must be held and the contestant must be disqualified if he or she does not meet the timing, originality, and eligibility requirements. Myth number 2, member in good standing means I've submitted my dues to the club treasurer. Speech contests frequently asked questions. To compete in a speech contest, you must be a paid member of a club in good standing. The only way to maintain your paid membership is to make sure your club treasurer submits your dues to world headquarters by October 1st of the October renewal period and by April 1st for the April renewal period. For new, dual, transfer, or reinstated members, the membership application and applicable dues must be received by world headquarters prior to competing in the first contest. Myth number 3, it is a courtesy to recognize judges by name, either verbally or in the program. General procedure from the rule book. Judges at all levels must remain anonymous when practical. Judges are not known to the contestants and no judges' names or contact information is provided in any contest materials. Myth number 4, the timing signals should be demonstrated to the audience. Rule book timing of speeches. Timers must provide warning signals to the contestants, which must be clearly visible to the speakers, but not obvious to the audience. Myth number 5, it's okay to create your own certificates and purchase trophies locally. Preparation. Order certificates of participation for all contest speakers and order trophies for world headquarters for the winners. Special note, it is a trademark violation to put Toastmasters logo or the words Toastmasters or Toastmasters International on speech contest awards not purchased for world headquarters. Speech myth number 6. After all contestants have spoken, the contest chair calls for 2 minutes of silence. When the last contestant finishes speaking, the contest chair would ask for silence until ballot counters have collected all ballots. Myth number 7. Neither the chief judge nor the contest chair may discuss a time disqualification with the contestant. Prior to announcing results, the chair must announce if disqualifications occurred, but not name the contestant involved. The chief judge may discuss the matter privately with the disqualified contestant or contestants. Thank you. I will now turn it over to Joanne Sheets we will open it up now for any questions of any of the information covered during this question and
Thank you. Thank you, Trina, Toastmaster Trina. Excellent. Do we have more than Katina?
I do
Have
have a
we-
question.
We have anybody else join us? I
No.
remember, huh? Excuse me.
Renee.
Okay. I remember you, Katina, competing in last year's contest.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I do have a question. So my first question, and it seems like it's an obvious answer to it, but I'm gonna ask it to make sure. We know that the deadline for the club members to pay their membership fees is they have to have it paid by October 1st
Mhm.
in order for them to move to the area level. My question is, what happens if a contestant that has been advanced to the area level but has not paid their dues by the 1st? Let's just say that they end up paying the dues after October 1st.
If
I'll take that question.
Okay,
Denise.
okay.
Actually, according to TI, based on a conversation I had with them 18 months ago, is that you have to be a paid member of a club of good standing at the time of the next contest. So when you compete at the club level, on that club level day, you have to be a paid member and your club has to be good standing. At the area contest date, you need to be a paid member in a club in good standing. There's a misconception out there that you have to be a paid member on October 1st to compete in any, an October contest, or April 1st for that renewal period to compete in an April contest. But that's not true. It's really at the contest time, according to Toastmasters International. Unfortunately, the rule book is not specific. It just says you have to be a paid member in a club in good standing. But it doesn't say at the time of the contest, And when you think about it, doing it at the time of the contest makes sense because you don't have partial month membership. You're either the entire month or not anywhere in the month. And it doesn't matter when you renew your dues. You could renew on the 1st of the month for the full month. You could renew on the 28th of the month, and it shows you as being a member from the 1st of the month. And it would be really onerous and difficult to have someone go out on October the 2nd after all the things have come in and been processed on October the 1st and say, who are my contestants for the October contest? And let me check on October the 2nd to make sure if on that exact day, the contestants are eligible to compete, the club is in good standing, all of that sort of stuff. So, like I said, there's been a lot of confusion about that, but it is at the time of the contest. Now, of course, when you are preparing for the contest, you can't wait as someone who's doing all of that organization for your contest. You can't wait until 3 minutes before that contestant goes on stage to verify their eligibility, You've got to be reasonable about this, folks. So, you can give people some leeway, but my personal opinion is you can also say at some point, you have to be done by the 15th in time for us to verify you for our contest on the 23rd, or whatever the case might be, because it takes time to verify all of this. And you don't want to have to pull together a contest that says, oh, well, we have all these people to have a contest, but now we have to add more people. We have to find more judges. Oops, one of the judges we have tapped is now a member of this person's club. And now you have to find a different judge at the last minute. And, so there's all those things like that.
And when you think about it, in some cases too, even with the club being in good standing, you may have a club that's having difficulty getting the 8 members. Like they have 8 members right now, but then when you're talking about renewal, you have some clubs that are just having a hard time or a challenge getting the members to renew and add new members. So
Yes.
even at that time, the the contestant has to be in good standing and the club. So what happens is, you know, if the contestant is in good standing and pays on the 15th of October, but then you still have the club that's struggling to get the members to renew and pay. So that's
Right.
the person still is going to be out, because that's the sad situation. You could possibly have a contestant that is in good standing by paying their dues, but then you have a club that is not. That's not what we
That-
want.
I understand.
Thank you for that explanation, Linda, because the way that it looks in the rule book, sometimes it seems like it's a all or nothing. And right now, with dues coming at the end of September, Toastmasters International is bogged down and their website is so slow right now because everybody's trying to get in there and get all those dues turned in. And not only that, but Toastmasters International may not update as quickly when they're totally swamped.
Right, right. It's just a mess. You know, for that in terms of the timing of everything. So my understanding it is you have to be paid member, club in good standing at the time of the contest.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I have
One other thing I do want to say about the club in good standing, and I have some struggling clubs in my area as well, and they are on the border, 8, 9 members, and it's so hard. You want to make sure all of the 8 of those dues are in by the renewal period, because if they aren't below 8, can put you into suspension.
Well, the suspension doesn't take place right away. You know,
Okay.
it takes at least 6 months to go through that suspension status. I think you are suspended if by the end of that renewal period, you don't have your 8. But on the other hand, you're not considered a club in good standing if you have
Either, right?
less
And-
than 8. Right, and so you
And
would.
that can disqualify that contestant.
True.
I have another question. Is there somewhere where we have like a template or a sample or agenda that a person can go by in conducting their contest? Like the order of how it should be done. Even though I participated in the one last year, I still don't quite remember the order of how everything was handled. So do we have like a sample that we can go by or outline of how we should be conducting our contest?
Barbara?
Barbara, you are muted. And I was also going to say that I think Debbie's got something that she did a couple of years ago at the district level.
Actually, Jim and I did several forms, and the area contest and the division contest were one of those. So we do have some scripts. The only thing I know it wasn't Tall Tales, it might have to be tweaked for Tall Tales, but I mean, it should be the same order and the same way you announce the names and stuff like that. So I can try to dig that up and see what we've got. But I do think we have area, and it was called an order of business, and we had everything kind of slated out.
Okay, that'd be great if I can get that. Can that be emailed to me so that I can share with the other area directors?
If you can put your email address in the chat for us.
I sure will. And I have
Is that the same email address you used to register for today's training?
yes.
Okay, well, if you could still put it in chat, but then Debbie, if you lose it, then I can
No,
retrieve.
that makes sense. That way you don't have to put it in the chat and we don't have to record it. Oh, well, anyway.
Oh, true.
Let me ask this. How do you get the ballots, the shrunken little ballots at the contest? They would put the program on one side, you flip it over, and there's the ballot that you can judge yourself.
That's
Asking
something
how that was done?
Yeah, that's just something for the audience to do on district and stuff like that. But I think that if I remember correctly, they had that printed at last year's contest. That was printed by a local printer or something like that.
But you have to copy the
The actual form.
onto the form before you give it to them to print. It's just printing it off of or pulling it off the website.
Yeah, you gotta pull it off and then just copy it.
Just
You-
have
you do some-
double-sided copies made, right?
Yeah.
I have one final question. That should be it for me. So in Division G, it's 4 area directors, and we're all, we're not thinking about, we all have agreed that we're gonna collaborate and do an area contest together. My question is, so when it comes to the judges, can we be, and I think based upon the information that you just said, I don't think that we can be judges. Correct?
Your,
Um,
your area director should not be a judge, really.
So that means we have to get judges outside of our area. 'Cause
Well,
all of us-
you as an area director could be a judge for another area.
yeah,
Wait,
because when you do a joint contest like that, you have to do each area separately.
Correct.
So
Mhm.
you would have, area 1 contest and take a break, and then area 2 contest and a break, and area 3 and area 4. If you're doing the area 1 contest, people from clubs in the other 3 areas could be judges for area 1.
Are you
Because they're
speaking
not a
the
member of-
same day?
if they're not a member of club. Yeah, you can't just throw all the contestants from your areas together and do it. That'd be like a division contest, and you can't do that. You can do them all at the same time on the same day, but you're gonna have to do each area separately.
Right. It's a totally separate contest.
But you can
And
do
if-
it all on the same day at the same time. It's just you're gonna have to do the contestants from area 1, then the contestants from area 2, and the contestants from area. That's the only way you're gonna get area winners to go to your division contest.
Right. They're not competing against each other.
Yeah,
But
they,
Right.
they
Not
can,
yet.
all the areas can't compete against each other.
You can share officials. You could have the same timer do 2 of the contests, or 4 if they're willing to
You
stay.
can switch the officiants around, you know.
If for example,
You could have the same contest master for all of them. But you're gonna have to, you can move your judges around and stuff like that, or if you have judges from outside of your division, you know, they could be judges for all 4 contests. It's just a matter of who you get.
as far
It's not as complicated as you think. I know it sounds like
I know
that.
it seems like it's complicated, but it's not. We've done a lot of those.
So
For
that,
example, let me get an example in if I'm clear on this. You're an area director in area 4. You are not a member of any of the clubs that are competing in area 1. Therefore, you could probably judge in area 1's contest because you really don't have an ethical conflict of interest related to anyone who is competed in that area 1's contest. Am I clear on that?
Yes.
Your division director is Ron Baker, correct?
yes.
Ron
Ooh,
has done this before. He knows how to put it together. But I'm your source for division G. So if y'all have any questions or anything, just get my my contact information is on the judges the contest team stuff, and you can contact me anytime.
I can tell you who we'll be contacting because I know in our head, we thinking we could just bring all the contestants together at the same time and
Now,
then
each area has to be done separately.
Yeah, you cannot do that.
So if you
But
have
it
three,
is-
if you have 3 contestants in division 1, I mean, in area 1, and 2 contestants in area 2, and 4 in area 3, and 3 in area 4,
okay.
you got to do all of those contestants can't compete against each other. You're going to have the ones from area 1 competing against themselves, the ones from area 2 compete against themselves, and all that. So then you'll have 4 area winners, and then they will go to the division contest.
I
But-
think if you did
It's not
everybody
as
together, your judges,
I've done several of these. It's not that complicated. But if you send me a text or an email or anything, be sure and put Division G contest on it so that I will prioritize that email.
Now let Debbie
why
talk.
don't you Barbara, why don't you put your email address?
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat.
And think
So-
about
so
it
think-
this way, the Tall Tales contest is, the speeches are 3 to 5 minutes. The area contests are not gonna take forever. And you could have the first 2, have an intermission, have the second 2. It's not gonna take you all day.
Yeah.
Division E's area contest is gonna run in 2 hours, and that's about right.
So what you would typically do for your 4 areas joint contest with Ron Baker as your division director, one scenario is Ron Baker opens the event as division director. And then it's time for Area 1's contest, and he calls up the area director for Area 1, who's going to act as the contest master. And that person then has each of the contestants come up one at a time in some order, that's already been determined. Person 1 gives the speech. There's a minute of silence so judges can mark their ballots. Person 2 gives a speech, minute of silence. Person 3 gives a speech. That's the last contestant for Area 1. So then the room stays silent until the judges finish marking their ballots. The chief judge for that event, for that Area 1's contest, along with the ballot counters, get everything, they move out of the room. The area director interviews those 3 contestants while the chief judge and ballot counters are determining who the winners are. And then when they come back into the room, you could do one of 2 things. You could either say, we are now going to start Area 2's contest, and wait to announce the winners from Area 1, or you can announce the winners and then go on to Area 2. One of the techniques is to wait until the very end to announce all the winners so people don't start walking out on you.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
So you've gone through Area 1, the chief judge knows who the winners are now, but you're not announcing them to the audience, but then you say, we are now, finishing Area 1, except for the announcement of the winners. We're now going to have 1 minute of silence, and we're going to start Area 2. And then whoever's going to be the contest master for Area 2, maybe it's still you, maybe it's the Area 2 director, will come up, call up the contestants one by one. They do their speeches, the judges mark their ballots, the last speaker, the judges finish marking their ballots, they get picked up, the chief judge and the ballot counters exit the room. The contest master interviews those contestants until the winners are known. And then maybe you take a 5-minute break at that point because you have 2 more areas to go through. And then after that break, you just kind of repeat the process for Area 3 and 4. And then you figure out who's going to announce the winners. Maybe Ron Baker, as division director, announces all the winners or something. And then you announce the winners and then conclude everything and everyone leaves. So once you get on the roll with this, each area is going to be the same. The names will be changed to protect the innocent, but they'll all be the same. They'll all be the same. And it's a matter of figuring out who's going to be the timers for these things. Maybe you have the same set of timers for the first half for areas 1 and 2. And then maybe you have a second set of timers for areas 3 and 4.
Okay.
Maybe you have the same set of judges for areas 1 and 2 because those judges are members in clubs in areas 3 and 4. You could even have, no, you could not. You could not have a contestant from area 3 or 4 be a judge for areas 1 or 2. You can't do that because they might be, if they
Biased.
win their area, they might be in a state of conflict, and that's against the rules moving forward. Where you've had the opportunity to be a judge for somebody else, and now you're competing against that person.
Okay.
But you could have, you can share some resources across those. And if you do it right, when I was a division director, there were 4 areas in my division, and it was kind of like areas 1 and 2 kind of combined together to find their people, and areas 3 and 4 combined together to find their people. So you
Yeah.
kind of shared people. So you get it worked out, and it's It just seems like a lot of juggling and details to go through. And to some degree it is, but it all works out.
So Katina, I was just gonna mention something to think about. A lot of times the area director for that area contest is the contest chair. And I say that because then you can use it as a pathways project where you are leading a team, doing the work, you're already doing the work anyway. Look at one of the level 4 or 5 projects that you can use in pathways and get it under your belt. The other reason I say be the contest chair is if you are the contest master or any other official and you have problems during your area contest, that be able to pull you away to deal with things is very difficult, especially if you're contest master. Let somebody else do that role while you're kind of overlooking everything, dealing with issues that come up, and use it as a pathways project. So that's just what I'm
Right.
saying. I think that works very
Debbie?
That's a good point, because the contest
Yeah.
chair is really the organizer, the chief organizer for the contest, whereas the contest master is kind of like the Toastmaster at a club meeting. That's the person who leads the event once you get down into to actually starting the event and such.
Yes.
Yeah, the
yeah.
contest chair is responsible for making sure all the background work gets done.
I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. For all of
Yep.
this, yeah. But Debbie is going to be dropping into chat if she has not
Oh.
already.
I have not already.
Forms, that will be helpful in your planning.
I actually wanted to share with you, and this is not the one I would send you, but this is just a copy of the script that we've done in the past. What it does is it kind of leads up to, okay,
Yes.
here's each contestant. Here's what you do as you're going through everything. And then you get to the interview portion. So it's just really kind of a script that tells you what you need to do.
Yes. Okay. That's what I'm looking
I've
for.
got one for area. I just haven't found it yet. But I can definitely
And Debbie, if you would show the other form you have to help find people and keep track of who you found for whatever. I mean, she's going to drop these in chat, but
hold on one sec.
That's good.
Okay.
we've
So
been through this before. We want to help people do this right. We just need to get connected.
And they don't have a very good, here we go. Sorry. They don't have a very good description of this in the
Rule
rule
book.
book. They have a description, but they haven't really laid it out. So this is laid out so that you can start putting names once you know who's going to be your contest master, who are your judges, who's your tie-breaking judge.
That's
If you want to
good.
have an extra judge, just in case, who are your timers and ballot counters. So this has been really good. And I'll drop this in chat for you, but once you start understanding how many officials you have to have, then you can start putting names in. Let's see, sorry.
And it is really important to try to have an extra person or two on standby who could be an official in a contest, because it's surprising how, well, if you were holding it online, which you're not, this will be in person, but if you were doing it online and somebody's device fails and they can't get into the meeting or in the middle of a speech, they get thrown out and then they can't be a judge for that event, just things like that. And if you're talking about in person, somebody gets stuck in traffic, they get sick, whatever. And ideally, in the perfect world, ideally your person on standby could fill any role, including judge.
Okay.
Not a member of the person's club, if you're high enough, all of that sort of stuff. But it's really helpful to have a person or two on standby that you can call on, who will physically be there, but can step into a role at the last minute if somebody doesn't show up.
A utility player.
Thank y'all so much. Y'all have helped me out a whole lot, and I'll be looking for the email. I know you said you're gonna put it in the chat, but those documents and then those documents, they will be emailed to me. Can they be emailed?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking we probably need to send these to the division directors so they can give to all their area directors. But
That-
yes,
That would be helpful, yeah.
I can email those to you. I was looking for another form. Okay, all right. But yeah, I can send these to you, but then I'll also make a note to send it to the area division director so they can send it out to people. We'll also do that with the scripts. So they'll have those as well.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, got it.
Well, thank you for being an area director.
Oh, I'm so excited about it. I'm working towards my DTM, so
Yeah.
I know I got some
Yeah.
ways to go, but that's what I want.
All right.
That's one of the
Well, don't forget that Pathways project.
Yes.
In fact, get Ron to let all your area directors do a project for their contest. That way everybody can get one.
Good.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all so much.
So
You're
we
so
are
welcome.
not quite done with our training. Should I go ahead and bring up the PowerPoint, Joanne?
Yes, please. And Katina, we have more trainings. We will do this again on October 15th at 8, and it'll be Tall Tales Answers for Tall Tales Questions, session 2, and that's going to be for the division level if you'd like to attend. And then don't forget that the international contests start in January 2025. Clubs have to have their contest completed by January 31. So we're starting early to get the information out there. We'll meet again on November 12th in a training. Are you ready for international? So please put that on your calendar, save the date, and that's what we'll talk about on November 12th.
Yeah.
And to help you even more, there's still some contest training videos out there that are very helpful. The ones that we have done this so far for this year, what is a Tall Tales speech, how to hold a Tall Tales contest, Tall Tales judging criteria for judges and contestants. And those are chock full of valuable information that will help you as you plan your upcoming area contests. And then trainings that we've done in the past, how to have a fabulous contest, how to chair and master a fabulous contest, contest basics for contestants, how to be a law-abiding judge, how to be an honorable chief judge, how to have a terrific online contest, breaking ballot room ties, speech contest do's and don'ts play. So those are some great resources for you as you go forward. And all of them available on the D14 Trainings YouTube channel. And then coming soon, protests and disqualifications, 8 ways to get kicked out of a speech contest. Everything you need to know about getting kicked out of a Toastmasters International Speech Contest for Dummies. So that's what we will have available to you for the international contest that's coming up soon. So again, all of these are available to you. Grab hold of them and share them so that you will be prepared. And that's our goal, to make sure that you're prepared. And the speech contest information is on the D14 website at this web address. And then the links to the Toastmasters International site, speech contest rule book, the Tall Tales contest kit, the speech contest FAQs, the frequently asked questions, and then the other helpful links are the Tall Tales contest FAQs. Those are all out on the D14 website, and the Tall Tales contest FAQs were prepared by this year's D14 contest team. So that will answer a lot of questions for you as well. And then you can always contact any of us on the contest team if you need help. Let me remind you that as we are preparing for all this, the D14 website is still under construction. It has a few more things to be built, but some of the stuff can be found out there. And again, call us. We're here to help you so that you will have an exaggerative tall tales contest at every level. So thank you, Christina, for attending tonight. We are so glad that you did. We hope that this has been helpful to you. And if there are no more questions, then we will adjourn this meeting and we will see you in October.